Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Tesla. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been tracking as the main scenario this idea in green, where we have basically a series of 1-2 setups that have formed within this area, and now we are tracking a larger third wave to the upside. Now within this wave 3 we have already formed the wave 1, 2, 3 and the wave 4 most likely. It is very unlikely we haven't actually bottomed within this wave 4 correction at this point, to be honest. And while other interpretations are certainly possible, I'm tracking this as my main scenario. Now within this fifth wave we are looking at a larger ending diagonal. This is the main interpretation, within which we have here a 1-2 setup, and we are within the third wave to the upside. Now keep in mind, this is an ending diagonal. This is very important because this means that within the wave 3 we don't expect to form an impulse, we expect to form an ABC structure. So far so good, because within this pattern we are in the later stages, maybe not even the later stages, but we are within a wave 3 of the larger wave C. Now remember, the wave C must have 5-wave structure. It must be a 5-wave move in of itself, but the larger pattern doesn't need to be. The larger wave 3 doesn't, and the wave C could work out within either an impulse or a diagonal pattern. Now here we can already look for some targets, because we can look for the ideal target for the wave 3, which is the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, the $600 level. Then we can look for the ideal target for the wave C, which is the 100% extension of the wave A, that is the $750 level. Now keep in mind, for the wave C this is the ideal target. It certainly doesn't need to get there. We may only get, for example, to the ideal target of the wave 3, but based on the current structure that is going on internally, I would actually expect it to get towards this area. Maybe if it doesn't reach it, it's not a problem, but sometimes we get a wave C that widely surpasses even the 100% extension. So it is a general level it is drawn towards. The count actually tells me that it is a likely area to form a top. And for the wave 3, there is really no problem at all if we actually find extensions. We had here the 161.8% extension. That is the next target. That is just above the 100% extension of the wave A. That is the ideal target for the wave C. Just above we have the next target for the larger wave 3. We could also get there, for example. But right now we shouldn't necessarily focus on that, because within the wave C we need to track the continued upside. We need to track the pattern. We need to actually validate that we don't get a failure within this area. And my working scenario within this pattern is that we have here a 1-2 setup that could be counted as a 5-wave move. It could be only a 3-wave pattern. I'm not too strict about its structure. I'm not too strict within which interpretation we should be tracking this scenario. But then if this is to work out as an impulse, I'm tracking here a series of 1-2 setups that have formed, and now I'm looking for a larger third wave to the upside to build the core wave 3. We already have an internal wave 3 within it. We are tracking an internal 1, 2, 3, 4th and 5th. Now the thing is, within this latest wave 5, I don't consider we have formed the top. If this is actually a 5th wave to the upside, I would expect a 5-wave move. And so far we actually failed to build such a pattern. I provided you relevant areas of support. Actually, this is the scenario. Relevant areas of support that have actually failed to hold, and it's not over yet. So we did fail to extend within this interpretation, where we were tracking from this bottom in the wave 4 a 1, 2, 3, 4th and 5th. It's not ideal, I'll be honest, but we can still technically track this to be a 1, 2, 3, 4th and 5th. In the end, we are tracking a diagonal structure. This is a higher low, certainly, so it is an interpretation we can realistically track. We can track this to be the 1-2 setup, this to be the third wave up, and then this would be the wave 4 correction. Now the thing is, within such an interpretation, the last level of support here is the $424 level. Based on the length, the structure, the length of the wave 3, we have drawn this area of support within which we actually maxed it out. We touched the last level of support. This means that if we fail to extend higher and to have formed already a bottom, this structure will absolutely fail. We will be able to track other scenarios, but we will not build a fifth wave within this area. We will not get the next fifth wave to the upside here and complete the larger wave 3, and that would be probably even ideal because we would have a more reliable wave 4 correction afterwards. Whereas if we fail to hold this area of support, I would need to track a couple of less favorable scenarios, less favorable in terms of high probabilities, yeah? And that would either be that this could maybe work out where the wave 4 has indeed bottomed here, and I'm tracking an internal ABC structure within this area in a wave 1, and we would build an even larger fifth wave. So for the potential, it could be positive because it could build a much larger fifth wave, because this could be again a 1, 2, 3, 4th and 5th. We are tracking a larger 5 wave move to the upside in that case. In all cases, for this to be a 5th wave in the white interpretation, it would need to be a 5 wave move. Now, how likely is that to work out? How likely are we to hold the area of support for a 1-2 setup after a 3 wave move to the upside? Well, it's not a trade setup that I would necessarily consider we should be looking into. Sure, you may be thinking from the larger time frame perspective, which makes sense to actually look for positions actively even within a less favorable setup, maybe because the larger perspective suggests we should expect continued upside. We have formed 2 new all-time highs within this uptrend, and it is likely that we are working on this larger fifth wave in the green interpretation. It's a good scenario to be tracking, certainly, but internally within this area it wouldn't necessarily be the most favorable interpretation to look for a position into. And what else could it be? Well, it could be that we are instead within the blue interpretation, which is tracking this wave C still. So it's the same wave C that it is tracking, but it's tracking it within the perspective of a larger ending diagonal. In that case, we would have here a 1-2 setup, and the wave A would have topped here. We would have had the wave B bottom here, and then this would be still a 5 wave move to the upside. It would be expected to form a wave C, and we would instead be looking for the same 1-2 setup. Now, what if we actually fail to hold even that? Well, to be honest, it might require us to consider a more possible top within the large wave A to have formed here instead. It could be an overshoot. In the end, we should be prepared for quite a severe correction if we actually failed to hold, after failing this area of support that we have in white. If we fail to hold even the next level, the 78.6% retracement, which we will track, let's say, in blue or let's say in green, if we fail to hold the $406 level, it's a signal that this structure needs a more severe correction, possibly even down to the last level of support of the larger blue area at the $308 level. It could take us that low while still keeping the perspective for continuation higher within the pattern that we are tracking on a larger time frame. So ideally, we continue higher. Ideally, we hold even this white area of support, and for this, we would need to break above relevant resistance levels, and that would be for the entire downtrend, the entire move to the downside that we have formed within this area so far. And let's say we will track this in yellow, and we have the levels between the $451 all the way up to the $482 level. A break above the 78.6% retracement, however, would signal that this structure is likely going to manage to extend higher. And while it's not a problem if we head into this area of resistance and form another low, keep in mind we do still have some room within the larger area, the interpretation of that would expect a quite significant push to the upside in the 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, would allow a slightly larger retracement, but it would certainly not be good for the short term because it would put us at risk that we have basically an A, B, C, or basically a 1-2 setup, but only with a 3-wave pattern to the upside, which is not a favorable scenario to be into. It's not an area that I would be looking for a trade setup with high probabilities. And for now, what else can we look at? Well, here in the short term, we might be able to consider this an initial 5-wave move to the upside within the interpretation of a leading diagonal. It does seem certainly interesting, so we can track an internal area of support here, and I would be watching the levels between the $442.8 all the way down to the $430.7. As long as we hold the 78.6% retracement, I can still track continuation higher. This does look certainly promising. And for this scenario, we actually have a potential 1-2 setup, but keep in mind, it's within a very, very small time frame. We already got rejected at the first level of resistance in yellow. Yeah, it created this massive move to the downside, within which I could consider this to be an ABC, in which case I could actually see further continuation lower momentarily to build the entire 5-wave move to the downside within the wave C. Yeah, I could track even an internal area of resistance here that could signal us that this wave to the downside is complete, and yeah, I would actually need to be tracking the area of resistance for a diagonal pattern. The levels up to the $442.6 are resistance. So far we have only pushed into the first level. Again, I would still prefer another low, here a 5th wave, to consider this pattern more clearly complete, but we don't need it, and in this tiny time frame, as long as we hold the 78.6% retracement, I'm still looking for at least another 5-wave move to the upside, and at least a larger ABC structure within this area seems promising, yeah? But below that, we are looking at a risk to head into the deeper area to shift and break the white interpretation. We are going to fail most likely to work out within this 5th wave. It might work out within the larger time frame, but within this area, yeah, not so much. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. And for now, yeah, this is it. Bye bye.